Every customer is on a journey. Your ability as a marketer or a content strategist to map the customer journey is what is going to enable you to create effective funnels and enable you to score leads. So if you've heard about MQLs and SQLs, marketing qualified leads turn into sales qualifying leads. But we can't qualify a marketing lead if we haven't mapped the customer journey and then assigned a score based on how an individual behaves at a specific point in the journey. So it all comes back to mapping the customer journey. So that's where we're going to start. I have built a pretty easy tool that I use to identify the different stages of the customer journey, most specifically setting it against the types of content that help progress somebody through that journey. I often find it to be a helpful diagnostic tool to bring to a client and say, okay, do we know where people are dropping off? Do we have all the resources that we need to get somebody from A to sale? Right? We need to know that, and we need to be able to map it in a really quantifiable way so that we can fill in the gaps, or that we can create more collateral so that people feel really well escorted and supported on their way through the customer journey. So let's walk through the tool that I've created for this, and then you can ask any questions in the comments. So basically what I have done is I've created this tool that maps the customer journey starting at top of funnel, and it creates a goal, or it defines a goal for each area of the funnel. It is important to note that not every person will come into your system the same way, and yet you need to define all the ways in which they could possibly come in. I think there are pretty much these three ways. Okay, and what I've done, just so you kind of have some sense as we walk through this, is these are vertical. So for instance, anybody coming in through social media is going to go through the process that I've defined here in this leftmost column. Anyone coming in through search or through the blog to the website is going to go through this column, and everyone coming in through our network, so that could be other, right, is going to go through this column. So I think it's really helpful to define it that way, because each of those three have different kinds of content that you're going to need to create. And that's really kind of, like I said, the angle through the lens through which we're viewing this exercise. All right, so top of the funnel, the goal is obviously awareness. You just want them to know that you exist. You want to be a part of the conversation. You want to be in the mix. So in social media, they can come in through, any of your social media properties. So that does not have to be defined to a specific one. Search, I think that it's really important to ask yourself the question when you're creating content for a blog or for web is, what kind of content are they most likely to search for, then download something? Okay, the whole point of this activity is not about volume. It's not about getting tactical. It's truly, truly, truly about strategy. What is the strategy, and how are we going to then eventually be able to use the strategy to create tactics? But ultimately, at this point, we're literally just mapping it out in the simplest way possible. Okay? So that's that. In network, I often define that as this would be like your executive team, a networking event, a trade show, something that, people are engaging with other people that is not either social media or your website. Okay. And that's kind of where we're going. The goal would be that they go from social media to your website. The goal would be they're on your website and they download something or subscribe. The goal would be that they're involved in the network and then they go to your website. So as you can see, the starting point really does define what's next, and getting crystal clear about every single step is how you do lead scoring. So it's really, really important to kind of be true to this and not have any category unaccounted for. You don't want to have anybody come into your system that you can't find out how they got there, right? And that you don't have something ready and waiting for them to get them to the next level, okay? So middle of the funnel, after they've done their initial touch, we could say with confidence that we are driving towards the middle of the funnel. The goal of mid-funnel is engagement, and you want data. So you won't be able to successfully sell to them if you can't go to them. And you go to them by getting in their inbox. Okay, that's the simplest way to begin to deepen and enrich the conversation and make it more personal and make it more customized, and all of that is for you to get some data about them. This could also be, I'll mention mid-funnel is obviously about we always think of it about email, right? We want to get their email address, get their email address. But I also think that when you come to segmentation, which is a different conversation than this, right? We're not doing segmentation here. We're literally just mapping the journey that anybody in any of our segments could go through. But when you're doing segmentation, you want to make sure that you have mechanisms in place to collect the right data points about them. So often people think, okay, well, my mid-funnel stuff isn't working because all my emails are just going to junk. All my emails are not getting through. Nobody responds to them. Nobody opens them. Really bad kind of email results. And so they think, well, maybe email doesn't work. I think the problem is that you haven't segmented enough. Okay, so at this stage, while I would say, yes, getting their email address is hugely important, it's also probably important to get a few other data points, okay, about them, about what their level of interest is, what their area of interest is, so that you can follow up accordingly. It will make the handoff to sales a lot more effective if marketing can collect great data. And that is, obviously going to be incentivized by great content. You have to be motivating them with something to download or something to subscribe to that they genuinely want, okay? So once they go to the website, you want to think about, what kind of content makes them want more, okay? So if they've come from social or from the network, and then if they've already gone in, they've already downloaded or subscribed something, you want to think, what is the segmentation we need to apply to correctly nurture this individual, okay, like I just said. And then the next step. So we're still solidly in mid-funnel, and the idea is that the people who came from something other than your website are now going to be asked to download something or subscribe. Okay, so if you notice, there's really just kind of a stagger here. It's the same funnel, but because they start on your website in this middle one, they're able to go a little faster through it. So hopefully that automatically occurs to you then that them being on your website is itself inherently valuable, which means that things like SEO and driving traffic to your website are very valuable. We just know statistically, and I won't go into it, you can absolutely look it up, people are more likely to keep going down the funnel if they're already on your website. They're not going to be as distracted by the next thing in their feed. They're not going to be as distracted by the next person who hands them their business card. There's just less clutter and chaos, and they're able to get to the point faster. So definitely always going to be highest value, get them to your website. If they start there, you have a better chance of securing their business. All right, so we're staggered here. They're downloading something or subscribing if they've come in through those channels, but if they've come in through your website, you can immediately get into the lead nurture part. So this could be called mid-funnel because I would not consider bottom of the funnel until we're actually getting them sales collateral or material. I would suggest that the step after you've gotten their email address is a lead nurture sequence deployed with an offer. What is an offer? Okay. We have to think about what the nature of an offer could be. You may think, okay, well, we gave them an ebook. What more could they want, right? And there's often this really false conflation between a high value piece of marketing collateral and something that's actually going to drive sales. The problem is what you got was their email address. Now what you do with it makes all the difference in whether they're going to keep going down the funnel or not. So a lot of people are like, okay, a lot of marketers will be like, okay, well, we won. We had 8,500 downloads on this specific lead magnet. Okay, great. But how many of those converted? There's a huge often gap in understanding between mid-funnel and bottom of funnel. And you have to make sure that what follows a lead magnet is just as strong, if not stronger, than the lead magnet itself, because they downloaded that, they skimmed it, and then they forgot you existed. You are responsible for then following up in a way that keeps your brand and your business front and center in their minds. That is almost always best done with some kind of offer. So obviously that varies dramatically depending on what kind of business you have, but you think about what is the follow-up sequence, how customized and personalized can it be, and then what is the offer that we are extending to them so that they stay engaged with us. And then the last is obviously bottom of the funnel. So they've come through here. The goal of the bottom of the funnel is that you get them over into the sales ecosystem. So at this point, the lead usually becomes the territory of the sales team. In marketing, it's kind of out of our hands at this point, right? You're not going to be having actual sales conversations with people, but you want to get sales collateral in their hands. So that is very important to do then. And then you can think through, if you are responsible for creating content for the sales team, are there materials that are needed to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to schedule a sales conversation? So that's important. And then always remembering, a funnel is great and good and wonderful. Post-sale is critically important. There has to be some kind of process, and this is usually something that is a collaboration between a customer success team, maybe biz dev, maybe marketing, maybe sales. The nature of your business will dictate who is involved in this conversation, but you want to make sure that you're getting you're continuing to get as much as possible. So for marketers, what we want is we want reviews. Okay, we want content, and then we want to request advocacy. We want to request that you get out the word. So you who have bought from us and liked our stuff and are loyal to us and are, now enjoying your product or your service, we want you to be the one then who goes out and megaphones about us to the world. So that's an important part of the post-sale process, and you can definitely put digital, processes in place so that is virtually effortless, automated, and funnels right back into your system. Because, as I always like to say, anytime you do something like this, make it cyclical. Make the data that you get at a review or as a response to an advocacy request, let that reinform the match you light here. Okay? So why somebody says they bought, let that overlay what you've been serving up content-wise on social media and search and in the network. Why people say that you won them over, what's working for them, what they love about the product or the service, all of that content, all of that good insight and feedback needs to reinform, because that's going to then be the same value driver and the same purchase driver that the next person will be motivated by. So it's very important. Okay, customer journey mapping, that's it. So basically it's just a sequential ordered way of putting all of the steps of the journey, the customer journey, in place, and then considering what kind of content are we creating that is sustaining momentum so that people continue going through that journey and we get them eventually to a point of sale, and then we get information from them that helps us create additionally wonderful, meaningful, rich, relevant marketing collateral. All right, try it out. I will link this so that you can download it, and then, I just copy, paste it, fill it in, ideate, brainstorm, figure out where you have gaps, figure out where you have opportunities, and I wish you all the best.